There is a new contender in the race to get sued by Nintendo, and I know that's a weird way to say that, but it appears that there is another game coming out, and another game by a popular game dev that might result in a lawsuit from Nintendo. And this lawsuit is going to likely be over the very same mechanic, one of the very same mechanics that they are suing Palworld or Pocket Pair through Palworld over. And that is the glider mechanic, specifically the using a creature as a glider mechanic. I can't demonstrate it now, but I can demonstrate the glider. As you probably know, in Power World, you have a glider. You can space and then space, and there you go, you're gliding on a thing. But it used to be the case that if you had a POW that had a special trait on it that would allow it to act as a glider, when you went to use your glider, instead of using the item glider, the POW would appear. And you'd be hanging off the POW's feet and gliding through that. And that offered a number of advantages. You were able to use your weapon through the glider. A lot of times the POW glider might be faster than the regular glider. So there are a lot of advantages that came with that, and a lot of people were very upset when they lost that. Now I'm gonna go ahead and say right here, because apparently I don't say it enough. Them changing that mechanic, when Pocket Pair changed that mechanic, it was not an admission that they were wrong. It was a way to protect themselves. That way, Nintendo couldn't file some sort of injunction and say, "Hey, courts, while we're litigating this case and determining whether or not they're actually infringing upon a patent, whether or not we have the right to that patent, can you stop them from releasing the game, because that would minimize the amount of damages to us?" So they just went ahead and changed the mechanic temporarily, and hopefully will bring it back whenever they win the case. And I have full faith that they will win the case. But this is one of the big ones. And then recently, or this year rather, they applied to change the patent about that mechanic, to make the patent about that mechanic broader, because the way that the patent was originally worded could be found to not apply to Palworld. It could be found to not apply to the way that the mechanic was working in Palworld, and the way that the mounting of the boarding object was working in Palworld. So they changed the patent, and they removed specific language that required there to be this smooth transition factor. And I'm getting some of this from a different article, that's a Game Spray article that's going into a little bit more detail about it. But basically, the quote from the Game Spray article says, "What they did by the means of the amendment was to drop the language that required a smooth switching between a flying object and a riding object." Because the way it was in Power World, there wasn't a smooth switch. There wasn't a smooth switch. It wasn't you were on a flying object and a riding object, and when you're on the riding object, you can just immediately switch to the flying object. If you wanted to use the glider pals, you had to not be mounting a mount. You had to be this. So there wasn't a smooth transition. You had to be on the ground. There wasn't a smooth transition. So because of that, because of the fact that they dropped that, it made the wording of the patent more broad, and potentially made it so it can target even more games and even more mechanics and even more more methods of using a mount or using a glider system. So I recently just saw an article pop up that was discussing a new game by a big dev, a dev that you might have heard of, Hoyoverse. And if you don't know who Hoyoverse is, I'm pretty sure you probably know who Genshin Impact is, or what Genshin Impact is. Hoyoverse is the company that produces Genshin Impact, and they are now producing another game called Honkai Nexus Anima. And Honkai Nexus Anima apparently has that exact same mechanic in it. Hoyoverse is a Chinese company, and I'm wondering how that's going to go with if a Japanese company tries to sue a Chinese company. But apparently, Hoyoverse is releasing a game called Honkai Nexus Anima, and that game has a mechanic that is directly the same as what Nintendo is suing Palworld over, or suing Pocket Pair over. I haven't watched the trailer yet, but I'm about to. And we're going to go over real quick whether or not I think this is a game. It didn't take long. I'm going to mute this because I already had one copyright thing sent to me because of a trailer's music. But that quickly, my God, that did not even, it almost seems intentional. It almost seems intentional. And at this point, these companies are being so petty with each other that I would not be surprised if it was intentional, that they just said the first thing we're going to show in this game trailer is something that's going to make Nintendo mad. Let's go. But let's see, hold on real quick. Let's see if there's anything else. I will go ahead and speed through this. Let's see if there's anything else that could lean to that. But yes, so the fact is that the patent that they are going after Power for, one of the 3 patents that they're going after Power for, is basically for that mechanic, for the smooth switching to boarding a flying mount of some sort, or a flying object of some sort. It was originally worded in such a way that there had to be smooth switching, where there had to be a fact that you were quickly switching between things, but then they got rid of that. They dropped that language so that smooth switching between mounts thing didn't have to be there, because that wasn't really what happened with Power World. You weren't smoothly switching, you were just going from walking to gliding. And with the way it's reworded now so that it doesn't have to have that smooth switching requirement, that jumping off a thing and immediately being on a flying mount, that hits it. That hits it probably even more than Power World does. But there you go again. That's directly a glider. That is directly a glider, because the way that this one seems to work is that it is a mount, and it appears that there's more control over it, and it's acting as a mount, which is more in line with the patent. But this is just a glider. It's actually going down the way that a glider does, so that is directly the same thing that they are suing Power World over. Let's see if there's even more. Hold on. And if there's not more, then my editor will fast forward through this section. This looks even more like it is copying right now what Pokemon ZA is trying to do. Because Pokemon Legends of Arceus wasn't in a modern environment. Power World is not in a modern environment. There's like modern-ish tech, I guess you can say, but it's not in a city. It's not in an urban environment. This is in an urban environment. This looks like it's just being Pokemon ZA. And you know what? I'm okay with that. Oh, look at that. That is Stuffle? That looks directly like Stuffle with a palette swap. Hold on. That's just Stuffle. That's Stuffle without even that hard of a palette swap. It's just more pink. Hold on. Yeah, that's just Stuffle. There's no way that I don't believe it. And this is a big company, so this isn't some indie company just doing an asset flip to make quick money. This isn't some like dude with, $20 and that looks a lot like an evolution. That looks like a combination of evolutions. That's a koala. And to be fair, I would not agree with them at all going after someone for making a pelican, but that looks like, I can't remember, is it Wingull or whoever it is that is the pelican Pokemon? That's just that. That is an avocado. I kind of love it. Oh, look at these little mini games. This actually looks like it might be fun. That's a penguin. I mean, I guess Power World could be bad about penguin. That's Stuffle. That's just Stuffle. Baby Lopunny. I don't know. Oh, different combat style. It's tactical turn-based, it seems like. I don't know how I feel about, or not. Is it just, okay, it's interesting. I don't really know if I like that for the style of game. Cards. Some of these look like Digimon, which, to be fair, when people try to make the comparison between Pokemon and Power World, I say every single time, Power World is not Pokemon with guns. Power World is just a weird version of Digimon. It's Digimon if Digimon were Pokemon. Yeah, so, no, that is 100%. I am truly of the opinion upon watching this, because I saw this article and I wanted my reaction to be live, so I did not watch the trailer until just now. You were watching it the first time with me. I gotta think that they're doing this on purpose. Just to, thumb their nose at... Is that the right phrase? I don't know. Thumb their nose. I'm gonna say thumb their nose. If it's not the right phrase, it's the right phrase now. I'm gonna say thumb their nose at Nintendo, because not only did they open it, did they open the trailer with the very same mechanic that Power World is getting sued over? They have creatures that are... I hear a lot of people say that there are a lot of one-to-one clones of Pokemon in Power World. That Pokemon is not suing... Nintendo's not suing them over copyright infringement. They're suing them over patent infringement. Really lends to the case that, no, they didn't directly copy anything one-to-one, or else they would be suing for copyright infringement. They're very clearly willing to sue. But that's all just to say that this seems intentional. The flying mechanic and the smooth transition that is not really the wording anymore, but it was originally a smooth transition of a boarding creature. It was worded in a super really weird way that seemed like it was trying to be confusing, seemed like it was trying to be vague, and then they recently made it more vague. I put out a video about that. And honestly, I've already said it, but honestly, this just seems like Hoyoverse thumbing their nose at Nintendo, because they opened the trailer with that, they showed it again, and they have so many, whatever their creatures are, that look even more like copies of Pokemon than anything in Power World. And I'm very interested in seeing if Nintendo tries to go after them. And I'm very interested in seeing what happens if Nintendo tries to go after them, because Nintendo's a Japanese company, Hoyoverse is a Chinese company. They're not friends. They are historically not friends. There's a lot of historical stuff that went on between them, so I don't think they're going to go along with it. I don't think they're going to allow it very much, and that might be why Hoyoverse feels so confident and being like, "We're just going to thumb our nose at you, and what are you going to do about it?" But to head off one of the comments that happens a lot when I talked about like Palland, and I mentioned that Palland is on the Nintendo eStore, so if they don't, like it's the hypocrisy that I was trying to mention in that video was the fact that Nintendo approved that to be on their eStore, but is going after Pow World. There were a lot of comments on those videos that was, oh well, this might give them a really strong case, or Pow World a really strong case. And then there was conspiracy theories that were going on that were like, Pow World might have put Pocket Pair might have put this on the Nintendo eStore so that they can say, haha, see they allowed this, and then we can use it in court. A company has the right to selectively enforce their IP. A company has the right, one, you can, if someone has a patent on something, you can license that from them. One. And two, a company has the right to selectively enforce their IP. So not enforcing it one time does not mean they can't enforce it other times. So no, to head off those comments, just to head off those statements, I don't think if they don't sue Hoyoverse over this, I don't think it will really help Power World in any measurable way. It won't help Pocket Pair in any measurable way with the lawsuit because Nintendo can just say, yeah, we have the right to selectively enforce our patents or not selectively enforce our patents. We can sue everyone that uses it, or we can only sue people that we particularly don't like that use it. That's kind of the way that the IP law works there. But I am very interested in seeing how this progresses. That's all I got here. I realize this might have been a little long-winded. I apologize for that. I saw this. It was funny. It was stupid. I hate the fact that it seems like these companies and corporations as a whole are getting pettier and pettier with each other, but from an entertainment value, because it's hurting us. It's hurting the player. It's hurting the gamer. It's hurting the consumer. But I love the fact that they're getting so petty with each other. From an entertainment standpoint, it's very interesting. It's very funny to me. But with that, I'll leave that here. If you made it to this part in the video, please like and leave a comment. If you made it to this part in the video, please like the video and leave a comment. It will help the video do so much better. Every little bit of engagement helps the video do better. Share it if you want to. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. And like the majority of the people that watch my videos aren't subscribed. And even though I'll see the same people commenting over and over again, it's like, okay, well, how are they not subscribed? And if you want to help out the channel a little bit, please leave a membership or sign up for a membership if you're willing to. 100% of the funding of the memberships goes straight to my editor until it gets to a point where I can afford to hire him on full time. And once we can do that, then it'll be a lot easier to put out a lot more content, a lot faster, a lot more research content, and focus on some other projects and just produce a lot more for you, the audience. But anyways, I appreciate you. Oh yeah, real quick. I stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, 2 to 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern time. I use a live commentary mode on YouTube to stop trolling. So if you are interested in being issued as a live commentator, please leave a comment underneath the pin post that says some sort of thing like you want to chat with me during stream, and I will preview as a live commentator. Thank you. Bye.